Hello, you're listening to Podium with Rich Newman, Hannah England and Katie Smith in association with Morton. And if you haven't used the fuel planner yet, do go to morton.com. And if you're doing a marathon or a race or any kind of race that's coming up, you can get your fueling strategy nailed on and you can get 15% off at Morton as well with the code Podium2026. And if you've not listened yet to our interview with Josh Kerr, the head of sports tech at Morton, then that is also available on our feed. We're all together again, 2 weeks in a row. We're keeping it together just about. I think, Katie, you're just about to go on a break. You're on holiday or a trip away soon, I think. Yeah. And Hannah, you're still in Font.
Yes, yeah. No, Katie, yours is. I forgot what you were doing when you said you were going away. I was like, what? And then it does sound like a very cool holiday.
This is my fun High Rocks holiday. Hybrid rockstar, here we go. Yeah, I'm off to Malaga on whatever day it is this week, and I am going with a group of friends, and we're going to do a High Rocks event together, and then I'd love to say we plan to do some lovely cultural excursions around Malaga. I am thinking it might be quite beach heavy and night out heavy. But no, it should be fun. I've been doing lots of training, and Rich very kindly delivered my Morton goods to me. When was it? On Friday? On Saturday? Saturday, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Where you did an awkward drop off with my mum.
Yes, met your mum for the first time.
Had you met before? I can't remember. No, you've spoken on the phone.
I've spoken on the phone, yeah.
Which is weirder.
Yeah.
Yeah, has he spoken to your mum on the phone yet, Anna?
No, not yet. No, we haven't been able to schedule it, yeah.
I was thinking, though, actually, Katie, I was talking to her and you said you were down because it was a celebration of your mum's birthday, which was, I think, earlier in the week. Is that right?
Yeah.
But I was thinking, talking to her, all she wanted to do yesterday was watch Paris-Roubaix, as far as I was aware. So I was like, are you going to see much of her?
Yes, yes, of course. This was the bit I forgot to talk to you about because she said you were covering some cycling. Is that right? I didn't realize.
I was in the Paris Marathon yesterday.
Well, that's what I said to her. She said, "Oh, Rich is also doing the cycling," and I said, "I don't think he is." And then she started talking about she's obsessed with cycling. She was talking about Paris-Roubaix and how she'd missed a lot of the race, and I was like, "Oh, well, it's lovely to see you too."
Happy birthday!
Yeah, exactly. Got her a great cake though, which I think was perfect fueling for my events later.
With your High Rocks holiday. Where in the holiday does the High Rocks fall? Like, what's the sweet spot here?
Yeah, so we arrive. I'm pretty sure we arrive on Wednesday. We have the afternoon to, hydrate, maybe do a light jog. Apparently, I've been told sangria doesn't count as alcohol the day before event.
Only if it's had in Spain.
Only in Spain, yeah. Naturally. And then the event is Thursday afternoon. So I think this is perfect. So Thursday afternoon, then we can have a nice evening all together. I think the boys go in the morning, girls go in the afternoon. And then we've got Friday and Saturday to recover and then come home. So
I was worried it was going to be like a Saturday afternoon.
Oh no, how awful. Yeah, because then you do have to behave a bit more, don't you? Although I don't know if I would. I'm going into it with not a huge amount of expectation, as in a friend of mine I would say is a better runner than me, but I'm a bit stronger and sort of suit some of the other movements a bit more. So I think together, and we've done a lot of training, but not in the last couple of weeks.
Are you doing it as a pair?
We're doing a pairs one.
Cool.
So I think we should kind of complement each other quite well. And then I've got this half marathon coming up in mid-May, so that's now less than a month away. So I'm pretending this is some sort of, I don't know, planning event for that or something. But anyway, it's going to be a busy few weeks.
Nice, that's cool.
You getting cabin fever yet, Hannah, in Font?
Yeah, I am a bit. The weather's gone bad again. It is, we've got 3 days of bad weather and then I think I'll be all right. But I think it's a reality of like 2 adults, a toddler and a dog. Even if the dog is imaginary, he's not. Katie thinks my dog is imaginary.
We've literally never seen him and you talk about him all the time. He does not exist. If anybody spots Hannah with a dog, do send me a picture of him.
I've heard him scampering around. Well, I mean, since we've come.
Have you met him though?
I have met him.
Yeah, Rich has been to my house. Rich has met the dog.
Excuse
me. But Jack is hard side eye from the crate right now because he's in the crate. But 2 adults, a toddler and a dog.
Wait, he's in the room with you right now?
Yeah. He's not coming out the box because he'll never get back in.
I don't want to see him though. No. I just fully don't believe he's real.
But yes, the 4 of us living in a 2-room, like a living room and a bedroom is getting a bit much, but only because the weather's bad. Once we can get back outside, it'll be all good. But yeah, and we've got one more week here, so 3 weeks total, which will be all good. Like I said, once the weather gets back, it'll be all good. And then it's nearly London Marathon week, which I'm very excited about. I kind of thought I nearly started prepping the other day, and I was like, no, it's too soon. Like, people are going to drop out. It's all going to change. But yeah, because I'm doing the world feed or the red button coverage with Chris Thompson, so we're getting our spreadsheet all fired up and all sorted out. So I'm getting quite. Stop laughing at me for getting excited over a spreadsheet.
Who's more into the spreadsheet, you or Chris? Would you say?
Me.
Yeah, don't try and dress this up as some sort of joint activity.
Tomo is politely partaking in the spreadsheet. That's how.
Yeah, get it. We're getting close to that now. I watched the Brighton Marathon yesterday, and just when City comes alive on Marathon Day, it got me so excited for London coming up. It's just, they had really tough conditions yesterday. It was windy. It was like constant. It was just, and today it's barely any breeze, and it's one of those really frustrating mornings.
You said it might rain. You said it might rain as well yesterday. Did it rain?
Yeah, no, that was the forecast a couple of days on. It was kept on changing. But actually in the end it was really sunny, and it was only the wind that was cooling things down. The sun felt strong, and there were people struggling with that. As we've actually got an interview with Hugh Brasher coming out later this week. He was there, and actually turns out I was just around the corner from him the whole time.
Could have interviewed him in person.
Figuring out when it's turned the showers on or off. But it did get to that point yesterday, because there's some bits where it was actually sheltered, where it felt pretty hot. So I really felt for them yesterday. A lot of people, there's some great times, really good times, people that I train with as well. But I think some people were a bit, the conditions weren't great yesterday in the end.
Where were
windy.
you? Yeah, what mile were you at?
21 miles or so.
Okay, I was going to say that's a pretty honest place to go and watch when you've got a marathon coming up in 2 weeks. Because one thing to be at mile 8, everyone's loving life, and then you're going to feed off that.
There's no point being there. You're not held to anyone.
But if you can face the reality of thousands of people at mile 21 and still be excited for your own marathon, then okay, cool, we're good.
I love that. It's almost as much a test for you as it was for those running.
Exactly. And I'm putting it that way. It's harder for me.
Actually.
More emotionally exposing for you than it was for the.
And it's good fun as well, because I was there with my whole family, and my 6-year-old daughter loved it. She was handing out sweets to the runners near the back end of the race, so when they're really struggling, and loads were taking those on and really appreciative, high fives, all that kind of stuff. So
did she try any more commentary?
No, she hasn't tried any more commentary, actually. No, we shouldn't. We never put our Josh Kerr commentary on the end of a podcast. Maybe we should put that as a bonus at the end.
So good.
We had I managed to get Anya into. But we are going to talk about athletics in a minute. It's a lot. There's a lot to get through. But during the World Indoors, she was watching quite a bit of it, and then she was, I think I was commentating something else around that same time. Anyway, she wanted to have a go at commentating herself, having watched these races, and just like, can I commentate on this one? So we got up the coverage, and I just put this microphone in front. It was like, right, go, have a go at commentary. And it was quite funny. She loved it. She had several goes at it. So we should put it at the end. So we'll put it at the end of it. Should we put it at the end of this podcast?
Yeah, do it. Go for it.
Let's put it at the end of this podcast. Stay for a little bonus. That is my 6-year-old daughter's attempt at commentary, and I will not take all the comments that I'll get on social media afterwards about him being better than you are, that kind of stuff. So that'd be great.
Just for me. No.
Did you give her feedback? Were you like, okay,
Katie,
we're going to try it this time?
There's no feedback. There's no formal feedback in this industry. It's
only
social media.
Sorry, I remembered. No news is good news.
For a true experience, we've only got to give her feedback on social media, I'm afraid.
So stay tuned. That'll be at the end. So that'll be we'll put that at the end of this podcast. Okay, so look, there's been loads of big news that's broken over the past few weeks. In fact, we came off recording last week, and as soon as we did that, we saw the announcement from World Athletics that the World Marathon Championships are going to be created. So from 2030 there will be a standalone World Champs for marathons. It will stay for 2027 and 2029. it's a bit confusing, actually. I'm going all over the place with this. 27 and 29 will still have it as it is. From 2030, there will be a standalone event that's likely to be in Athens. And then from then on, there will be every year, but alternating between the men's and the women's races. So there'll be an annual World Championships for marathon running.
And do we know if that's going to stay as like a standalone event, or do you think they're going to piggyback on the back of other big marathons? Yeah, like incorporate it in a World Marathon Major, or do you think it's forever going to be its own entity?
I think it's supposed to be its own entity, and I just don't know how sustainable it is, because I was talking to Jo Pavey about this quite a bit. And she had some quite strong views on it, because I was commentating with her on Paris Marathon yesterday. And her main point was, if I'm an athlete and I don't get to go to an actual World Championships, that is, with everyone else, it's kind of a bit, I feel like I'm missing out. Like it's that you're not part of a whole bigger event. You're just there on your own. So she was like, that, I don't know how many athletes would like that. And a second point is, it's really expensive to shut down a city. So do we get, in the end, sort of boring courses because you have to loop? I feel like we're going to end up getting looped courses, maybe like every 5 miles, 6 miles. It's good for spectators. It is, yeah. But I mean, I just don't know. So basically, I wonder whether eventually it starts to get incorporated into other races. But I don't think it'll be the majors.
If you incorporate it into a major, then you've got the issue of pacemakers and appearance fee. Like suddenly you make Berlin a world champs, and then you're like, well, I can't give people appearance fees when they might normally get an appearance. It kind of muddies the water a bit. So
it sort of takes away from the prestige of one event to another. You know, which one is highlighted as top billing, or how do you even market that versus the people who don't want to? They just, like, Berlin is good enough in itself, isn't it? That's the entire point of a major marathon.
Well, so they might not want, something like a World Marathon Major might not want to incorporate a World Championship.
That's what I'm thinking.
Suddenly they've got all those hoops to jump through. But I think if you look at, we've had one running of the European road running champs, and just one of the world road running champs, haven't we, in Riga? Because San Diego got cancelled. But I think from World Athletics and European Athletics, the idea of those road running champs is bring in that mass participation element, and it will be a good fundraiser for those governing bodies. That there is a business model in there, obviously proved by the other big major marathons. So if they can get the event right, and every person gets to go and run a World Championships marathon, there is a opportunity, I think, if they get the setting and the course and the time of year and everything right, that it does become its own kind of standalone World Marathon Major vibe. Without it being in a series.
I think that's what World Athletics want it to be, don't they? I don't think they really want to merge it with something else, because the whole point is that for the last few years, it does feel like the World Championship Marathon, no one can quite place it as kind of how important it is. I mean, we've had these discussions, haven't we? And who turns up and what you're going to target through the year. So I get the sense that World Athletics really want this to be something that is kind of a pinnacle event to work towards. And I think if you pair that with something else, or try and use the prestige of another event to get you there, it just doesn't, for me, feel like how they would. I think they organically want it to become that on its own, and people want to go to it. On your point of the courses, Rich, as well, I think we were talking about whether you'd have more loop courses. I think one of the funnest things about a World Championships is that it's such an important part of the hosting city's right to kind of showcase their city, isn't it? And so it would be a shame if we didn't get some of those amazing, if it's something like London, say, those inner city courses where you get to go to these like iconic locations. It'd be a bit of a shame if it's suddenly some, I don't know, racetrack somewhere outside of town or whatever, or some city that doesn't, people don't really want to go and visit, do they?
What if it does become an event where it's a standalone and it does have a mass participation element to it, then obviously that brings more financial benefits to actually opening up the whole city. It's, I guess, if it doesn't involve that section of it, then it becomes less financially viable to do it. Whereas it's more like it's a lot of money to spend on for not much return. Obviously, if you're bringing mass participation in, you've got people spending money in the city, in the hotels and the restaurants and all that kind of stuff as well. So I think, but I would say that it does solve one of the big issues at the World Championships, which is the fact that no one really wants to be racing in the middle of the summer in a marathon. And we were all in Tokyo, and it was horrible. 40 degrees officially, but it It felt brutal.
Once they were down between the skyscrapers, that's what we kept saying, wasn't it? All the sunlight kind of pounding down on them. And I think it wasn't performance orientated to have that marathon in Tokyo. I'm not really happy about the idea of splitting the men and the women. I just think, I think we are a very gender equal sport, and we do give a lot of attention. But I'd just be my worry that it might happen in the wrong way, that you might get more headliners in the women's race one year, and that then seems so much bigger than then you go to the next race, and it's not got those, for whatever reason, whether it's closer to an Olympics or off the back of an Olympics, or I think keep it together. I think
we also don't.
Yes.
We don't split any other event like that. We don't say, the world champs one year is all for women and the world champs is all for men, track and field. I mean, it just makes me a bit sad. It feels like there's not enough there to kind of really get your teeth stuck into. Is it just one race and I
think it's unnecessary. We saw the race walk 50K, Rich, or the 20K in Tokyo, where they set them off together, and Marta Perez finished like 14th overall. It was ridiculous. But like I'd rather have men's and women's go off together and it be a bit messy, like we'd have in all the televised marathons that we complain about various things on. If you've got enough bikes, make sure just set them all off together. I don't like the idea of splitting it. I think that just dilutes it further, like taking it out of the main championships and then splitting it men and women.
Completely.
Without sort of trying to revive the whole track league idea, road league idea. But honestly, though,
classic.
no, but honestly, I've actually seen other people mention the same sort of thing. Has there been an opportunity missed here to sort of incorporate some sort of ranking system where you maybe have it I don't know how it would work, because it would have to always be at the same time at the end of the year, and it's difficult to. Then you'd end up having to miss something like New York or Chicago. But could it have been like a season-ending event, like where you have both? You do have men's and women's, where it does actually mean something, where you kind of it has that F1 style of we know what we're building towards, so you can maybe get behind an athlete or a brand or a team or whatever a little bit easier. Could it have been completely revitalized in another way? I just think
you could steal a little bit from the ultimates, in that people qualify themselves from you maybe not capped at 3 per nation, which I think when we go to a traditional world champs, I think an Olympics games for sure, that's kind of limited by beds in the village and that sort of thing. So who's to say you couldn't have 6 Kenyans, 8 Kenyans, 10 Kenyans, whatever? You could also have 3 from every nation that wants to send it. But make it a bit more like the best of the best kind of turning up there, because in theory, within reason, again, if you've got to have a looped course, you got to go within the restraints of kind of the corners and all that sort of jazz. But I think you could have a very different field as well, which might be, like you say, you could then have a bit of a pinnacle, people qualifying for it along the way.
Surely you would have bigger fields, I reckon. You would have more, a bigger quota, wouldn't you? And that's
a cool thing.
Happen.
And I think that's what's happening in Copenhagen, isn't it? Yeah. Like you can have quite a lot, and that is the beauty of having a standalone road running champs, is the team size isn't affected. You remember like Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, and they had about 12 people, shut all the roads for about 12 people to run the marathon. Like it just, because nations couldn't justify bringing full teams, and that's where they couldn't justify putting people there. I think it's a good idea. The only bee in my bonnet is the alternating men and women.
Do either of you have a problem as well with the fact that I don't know if World Athletics may be helping itself here with the sort of casual fan by having a World Road Running Championships and a World Marathon Championships, and why is the marathon not in the Road Running Championship?
That I don't understand.
Surely it will all get meshed together at some point.
At some point, right? Well, you'd think so, because it doesn't make sense from a sort of casual. If you are a casual fan, you're wondering how this sport is being run, and then you're like, I don't understand.
But then maybe that's part of the league thing. If you win the previous, so until it's up and running, like the reigning champions of the World Road Running Half Marathon and European road running events, they get auto into the first kind of world marathon champs. But I think it has to get all mushed together.
I just think every time they do something like this, my concern I think you use the word, Hannah, it just dilutes it in a way of like, you just breaking it down into more and more categories that like don't really actually mean anything. Like, why is it? What is it necessary? Do you think it was necessary for them to do this?
Well, yes, I think because of the to find a city that's suitable for track championships in terms of that demographic, that arena, that time of year, everything like that. You're going to be lucky if that also yields a fantastic road event. And surely the writing's on the wall then for race walking. If they're taking marathon out of the world champs, then surely the same thing's going to happen with race walking. You'd say,
yeah, it does, yeah, and you can't make that kind of announcement before the race walking team championships, which happened the weekend. It does also increase, I think, the importance of the Olympic marathon, because that now becomes the only marathon that exists in a global sporting event, right? Where everywhere's in where multi-sport or multi-event.
If you look at it, that's the one that draws the big stars. The Olympics is the one that time and time again the big guys turn up to. So I think, you said to Joe Pavey's point of like, if you're not part of the main event, why would you go? And I think that's incredibly relevant for the Olympics. But I think we've already seen people deprioritise it at World Champs and choose other marathons because they're not, like I was saying to you, Katie, because they're not suitable, like they're not in a great location. So I think it's a really good thing that it would ramp up the Olympics even more.
Being a bit cynical about it, just finally on this. What do we think? Do we think that Berlin and Chicago maybe had a little bit of a say in this? I say this because Berlin is the fastest. I think they're both the fastest marathons if you want to go and get a good time. And when you have the World Championships and you have the Olympics, well, Berlin is out completely. There's no chance you can do it now that it's going to be a season-ending event all the time. So Berlin's fields over this year. Sarway didn't go to the World Champs, but apart from that, the field wasn't as exciting as what you'd see like in London, for example. And then Chicago is really too close too, because you're talking second weekend of October, I think most of the time. Do you think there's a little bit of pressure might have been put on there just to say you're kind of diluting our event and we're sort of feeding the major marathon boom?
As in, you think they've had something to say?
I wonder, just because it's having strong annual events like that is also really important for the profile of marathon running, right? But the sponsors, they're all backed by major brands. Berlin is an Adidas race, Chicago is a Nike race, and that would be a big thing for both those brands.
I think it'd be more, in my opinion, it'd be more World Champs just knowing that they're going to lose out. Your Sarways and they're going to lose a big load of talent. It's just sort of accepting that people are talking with their feet already, that they're not coming. They're not coming to the World Championships marathon. I think we were very lucky to have Perez, Cheptegei and Tigist Safer, like very lucky. And I think that was almost like federation kind of pressure. I don't think it's maybe what they would have chosen for career or financial reasons. So I
I'm
think
almost wondering.
Yeah,
no, I think exactly what you're saying. Is it more the other way that actually World Athletics have had to kind of bow down a bit, and like Berlin and Chicago don't really need to say anything because the talent's kind of going that way. That's where the sort of natural movement is, and World Athletics have just admitted, do you know what, we actually need to make a change here because otherwise we're the ones that our event is losing its prestige and profile.
Yeah.
Should we stay with marathons just for the moment, just to talk about some results over the weekend? I mean, we're going to bring out a Boston Marathon preview later in the week, so look out for that. But from the weekend, Paris Marathon, can I bring that up first of all? So
yes.
So I was
Paris-Roubaix.
So
carry on.
I was commentating on this for TNT and Eurosport with Joe, and breakthrough performance from Johan Kripper, who's finally nailed a marathon. And I think we have discussed him previously about how it just hasn't been working out for him, and when does he either has to nail it at some point, or he's going to have to surely go back to doing something else. I was going through his results again. I've written them all down obviously for the prep, but that was his 6th marathon. He had the 5 before, if you consider everything that he's achieved, he's a European champion. He's the 2nd fastest all time over half marathons at the moment, which surely gave him a lot of confidence going into this race. Which
just
he won
in Europe, right? Not worldwide.
All time Europe's behind Andreas.
Sorry, no, I was like, did I miss? Sorry.
Maybe if I didn't mention that, apologies. In Europe, so he won this in 2:05.18, and it was so controlled. But his previous performances, debut in Milan was a 2:08. Then he did a 2:06, his previous PB in Seville, and then it went downhill. It got worse. Last year, DNF, he went to the Olympic Games, 25th place, 2:10. He brought that up in his post-race interview yesterday. 4th place at the World Championships in Tokyo. His 4th race was a DNF at the World Championships in Tokyo, and then he finished in 2:11 in Valencia. So everything was getting worse for him until he got back to Paris, where he had a disappointing Olympic Games, and he crossed the finish line, and immediately he was pointing to his head. Like, I finally got this right. The game plan was executed, and he was saying afterwards, it's not been going well. At some point there was going to have to be a decision that was going to have to be made, but now he knows he can master the marathon distance, and he looked so controlled all the way through. Like, everything was executed perfectly. There was no pain on his face, and when he needed to take it away from the rest around him, he did it with pretty much with ease, and he didn't have to race it. It's not, Paris Marathon isn't a super fast course. It's not it's not like the Olympic Games marathon where it was really, really hilly, but it is up and down. So I just think he executed it perfectly, and I think that was a really popular win, because I think we wanted to see him nail this distance, because he has it. You look at someone like Jacob Kiplimo, who's done it, and Cripper has taken a little bit of time to do it, and it also gives you a little bit of optimism that someone like Joshua Cheptegei coming up may eventually nail it as well.
No, I was super impressed, and like you kind of, I think his debut was great, backing out with the 2:06 was great, and then you kind of thinking, what's going on here? And I wonder if going to something like Paris that's not super quick, Valencia, maybe it's, the only thing about Valencia is running quick. And if that's not happening that day, then you're going to probably have a stinker and not be able to hold it together. But Cripper, he's a fantastic cross-country runner. Ex-mountain runner as well, so you kind of say he probably is better off on a slower course, maybe not all the way to the marathon kind of hills or whatever, but a slower course where you're just racing it and you're just just racing the course and the people around you and not the clock as well. But my favourite thing was that he, like Jimmy Gressier last week, he did it in a speed suit. I'm like, yes mate.
Can we get you one, Hannah?
I'd love. I think I'd probably still be after Gressier's Kip Run white onesie as a novelty thing. Over the on one was very cool, but I was just still like as if you're doing a marathon in a speed suit. But fair play.
Yeah, not great for organisers, because it was packed full of ASICs.
I was thinking
athletes,
because he used to be ASICs, I think. So I was like, maybe it was a bit, maybe I'm making that up, but I was like, of course it makes sense that he did that race. And then I looked at pictures, I was like, oh, he's it on. But yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what you can do next, because I think that, once you've done it once and you've nailed a marathon, it gets easier to do it again. And he's finally sort of come of age at this distance. And then in the women's race, Shuri Demise won, the Ethiopian. Now, she is the world under 20 record holder, but from 11 years ago, and that was her PB before that. She hadn't gone below 2:20. Now, you can imagine as a 19-year-old winning in Dubai, setting that world under 20 world record, which has stood for that long. You would have thought in that time sub 2:20 is just round the corner. She actually took a 3-year break from the sport, came back last year, won in Milan and in Toronto as well. And gradually getting those times back down again, and then 2:18:34 smashed the course record. The top 4 actually all would have beaten the previous course record. It was Al-Meriu and Madeleine Masai who came 2nd and 3rd. So Madeleine Masai's also been talking about the pressure of being a Masai recently, being part of that family, but she was kind of always in the mix. But Demise to come back and to get that time, props to her, because I think she's probably waiting for a long time to do that.
Nice.
So we can end our marathon discussion there for a bit.
I only wanted to do my only marathon bit. I wanted to do an honourable mention to was Bashir Abdi getting close to his European record in Rotterdam. We've been kind of on like European record watch, like through Valencia last year, and now it's sort of like, could it happen could Petros manage it in London? Maybe not, because the course isn't as quick. But Bashir Abdi, what did he made it to 37K on European record pace, and then it like all fell apart. I think there was a bit of walking, there was a bit of so it sounded like cramps. That's my interpretation, but it's his record. He set it in Rotterdam in 2021, and to say he kind of faded, he only faded to 2:04.19 from there. So exactly.
That's
so
mad.
He probably was well on to break 2:03.36 if he, to get, that must be so upsetting to get within a few miles of breaking your own European record. But especially as I do think it's going to go this year to someone, like at some point. Maybe to him, if he's in that sort of shape, maybe he can manage it in the autumn.
Ooh, is this a Hannah England hot take?
Hot take.
Hot take. We need a klaxon or something to
I did just ting my coffee mug by mistake.
You just did a self ting.
I went to put something down. It's like hot take. It's like the worst gong. Anyway, moving on. Do we not have really good sound effects on this platform somewhere rather than
maybe Anya could do us one?
Yeah. Should we go to the track? News that the Doha Diamond League has been rescheduled for June the 19th, which is no big surprise, but it's only been delayed by 6 weeks. So the hopes, as we're talking right now, of everything being resolved don't exactly look too optimistic. But let's pretend it does. Let's pretend everyone plays nice and decides to end this absolute ridiculous situation. That's now being rescheduled instead to the day before the British Champs, which I guess isn't going to be popular with a lot of British athletes, given this isn't, a sport of football or something where you earn a lot of money. And the Diamond League being the top level event, that's where you can pick up some decent prize money and appearance fees. So I think the Jamaican champs are also in the same weekend, so that rules out a lot of Jamaicans. Do you want to explain, Hannah, what the selection policy is if a Brit was to decide to skip British champs and go to Doha instead? They can't go to the Europeans.
They can't. Right? So we had a look before coming on air. The policy for the British champs, if you want to qualify for the European Championships this summer, you have to go to British champs. You have to compete. If you're a reigning medalist from the last couple of global championships, you can do another event. So as we've seen, especially the middle distance sort of people play around and do other events, but you have to come.
You still have to go.
Yeah, you still have to go. Which I agree with. I think. Yeah, I'm a big advocate of everyone turning up. I think whether it's to sell tickets, to sell our sport, to give depth to domestic championships. You've only got to look at the Australian Championships from this weekend. It was tremendous. There were so many good marks there, and I think us as a nation, we want to get all our stars out on one weekend. In terms of athletes being annoyed by this, I think it's more, if we did have any Brits signed up for this, it would have fitted into their first few weeks of the season. And they'll be frustrated they've now got a hole on May the 6th or whenever it was meant to be. More so than where it's been put. Because I think once it's moved, then it bleeds into other aspects, other races you've committed to, other training blocks you've eyed up. I think we'll get athletes that would have hoped to have gone to this event in May that now won't be able to go, but I don't think they'll care that it's necessarily, I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty hot in Doha in June. I don't know. They often have a good 5K there because there's a lot of Ethiopian fans and they love coming out to watch it. I don't know if they'll put a 5K on in June. I think they're going to be in the air-conditioned stadium, aren't they? The big one, rather than the stadium they normally use. But still, I think, I don't know. I think but let's be honest.
I would say,
is it going to happen?
Even with that aircon, it's still so hot. There. I remember it in, what year was it? 2019
for the World Cup or for the World Champs.
Yeah. I remember being inside that. There are certain bits of the stadium you do not feel the aircon.
No. I trained there. We had a holding camp there one year for Commonwealth Games. Yeah, and again, this was in September, October, not June. And
I
don't know. I think it will. But
like you're saying, Rich, they've even rescheduled it. I was wondering if it might
I think it's worth a try. It's worth it's better than cancelling. But
it's worth saying is that there are other sporting events going on in that area at the moment. I mean, I'm commentating on the AFC Champions League tomorrow, for example. So there's actually the whole in Saudi Arabia. They've got they finish that tournament in one place. So you've got teams from Eastern Asia coming over to play in this final tournaments, like from Japan, etc. So I guess there is sport is continuing there, despite the fact international sport is continuing there, not just domestic sport. So I guess it kind of makes sense that it has been rescheduled, but it's just so fragile, is it? That you couldn't, you can't fully commit to it. You can't commit to it with any certainty.
Well, no, and the beauty of the mandatory attendance at trials, at the championships, is that that's already in people's diaries. So it's not like, in theory, there shouldn't now be a choice between Doha, because they would always have planned to do British champs. So I know we used to always have a clash between, I think, Rome Diamond League and British champs, and it wasn't mandatory to attend. And yeah, so like 7 till 9 p.m. on the Saturday, you'd get loads of our big stars doing something amazing at a Diamond League, whilst we should have had all eyes on the British champs. So I much prefer the mandatory attendance. I think it's important.
You mentioned Australian champs. Should we go there next? There's a lot of some great lines from that, isn't it? I mean, it also shows the depth of Australian athletics at the moment. It's a bit of a battle on between us and them, isn't there, at the moment? It's always good to have.
I think we're losing. I don't know if we can call it a battle.
But it's always a good rivalry between GB and Australia, but at the moment the depth is amazing. Where should we start? What's caught your, Katie? What caught your eye?
I think mine was Gout Gout. I woke up to it. What night would that have been? Sunday?
Saturday into Sunday?
Yeah, I've gotten a bit muddled up. And it just came back to me. You said, Rich, I think, was it the pod that was just me and you on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about him, and you said, it really stuck with me. You were like, he's got the talent. It is there. Because I think I'd gotten a bit sort of in that cynical headspace of like, have we put too much pressure on him too early? And have we said he's going to be a superstar? And actually, he's just shown a bit of sparkle, but he won't actually be able to back up. And you said, no, it's like, it's all there. He just, it all needs to come together, and he's still only, how old is he? I forgot.
18.
18, yeah.
He only turned 18. I think it's December.
Was it? Yeah, crazy. And then I watched the full race, knowing the time, but I was like, I just want to kind of, I was like, right, I really want to just see this almost with fresh eyes and not try and watch it knowing it's going to be great. And oh my goodness, his last 40 meters, just the turn of pace, the legs, like the cadence, it didn't look to me like a sub 20 until that final bit of the race, if I'm honest. And there was something there that was just stunning, and the crowd reaction, like you were saying, Hannah, the atmosphere looked unreal. And just to see him, I felt like there was that slight energy from him when that 1967 came up, of like, yes, finally, like I got that sense he knew it was there, and it was like, yes, I've unleashed it, like here it is, I'm here, like I've done it. And I was just like, wow, that is so. Also, I didn't say it's a world under 20 record, did I? So 19.67,
and faster than Bolt was at this stage.
Yes, like oh my goodness, everything. But I still feel like from watching that race, there are elements that it could make him a lot faster.
Yeah, and I would just say as well that putting into, if we compare that to that race from, was it only 2 weeks ago? I think it was just 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
2 or 3.
The Maury Plant meet. That day, as I said, it was absolutely hammering it down. The conditions weren't great. He got out really slowly, and Lucky Kennedy won. But it was, but Gout was, he's one of those athletes, and it's quite hard to not call him Gout Gout every single time you talk about him.
Yeah, no.
Just call him one Gout. It's quite difficult. But he was closing on him. He just made a poor start. And to be honest, I think the conditions played a big part that day. And we said, Katie and I made the point a couple of weeks ago, as you mentioned, Katie, you're going to get inconsistencies and brilliance with a teenager, with someone that young, with that talent. You can't expect an athlete in any sport to be able to turn it on all the time at that age. I mean, you're remarkable if you can. I mean, can you name many athletes in sport that can do that week to week basis at the moment? I mean, I can think of Lamine Yamal, and that's it, probably.
Jakob Ingebrigtsen at 17, 18.
Yeah, he was a bit like that, wasn't he?
Yeah, but yeah.
Kind of thinking Mondo, but actually Mondo, it was a bit more.
He was older, wasn't he?
Came when he got older,
yeah.
But then you look at Bolt. Like Bolt wasn't always that consistent, really, was he? As an athlete, it's just when he was on a game, it was so far above anything that anyone had ever seen, and it was him that it was like that perfect storm, wasn't it? Where he became just this absolute sensation. And I feel like I don't mind if Gout is just a bit inconsistent.
What I like about this from Gout is that it's like he was no, that one doesn't work. Like I wonder if he was just peaking for the Australian champs, as well, like emotionally and physically. Like I'm much more excited about like the best race of the domestic season coming at the Australian champ. That for me erases the rest of the season. Like this was the big thing, particularly when you want to try and go again in the summer, in sort of the traditional season. You can't. There's no point in smashing all the other meets up until the Australian Championships. You just do it now when it counts, and then regather for outdoors. So I think that is like the true form of him right now. And I think, was it last year? Did he break 10? But it was it was illegal. It was too windy, wasn't it? Yeah, I wonder if that played into the emotions as well. Like, not only did he do something fantastic, it was illegal wind reading. That because it's you'd expect to do something like that and then it have an asterisk next to it. But the fact that it doesn't, it's just even if he'd run that with a 2.1, we'd all still be getting very excited.
Oh yeah,
so it's super
but also
cool,
if that is what you said, Hannah, and he's gone towards a kind of peak performance, aka going for the champs, then that also shows like a really interesting level of maturity, doesn't it, at that age, that you're able to, or really good people around you too, to say like, yeah, I know you probably want to perform 2 weeks ago and show the world, and there is a lot of expectations, and people will start doing a little bit of like, oh, if we overhyped him, wait, and then do it, and you're going to smash it. And that's just so important, I think.
Making that statement, running that time, in that field, because you're not racing against some of the best in the world, with respect. Lucky Kennedy is in good form. That's his main rival, but it's still harder to sort of push on with the field that you've got. So he had to do that all himself without external motivations.
Kennedy didn't do it. He only did the 100.
No, exactly. That's
after
what I mean.
Breaking
but
10.
Usually,
and I kind of like the fact that Gout didn't do the 100. Yeah, put all his eggs in one basket as well. I think it would be a bit kinder. We've seen a lot of doubling elsewhere in the endurance events, particularly. But I kind of like the fact as well he put all his pressure on that one event. To what you said, Katie, that sort of emotional maturity of being able to handle rounds and all the emotions. I think it would have probably been emotionally simpler to do both and kind of had two shots at it. But to put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah, you're right, Rach. But yeah, and then the cynic in me is like, okay, what happens when you do put that up against the best in the world and you're not at home and it's not, but we get to find out. Hopefully he'll do a full summer over in Europe. That'd be really cool.
Me and Casey had a discussion about whether he's the real deal. What do you think then, Hannah? Is he worth getting properly? The hype is
properly,
all, it's all there.
I was looking at when I was trying to find the photo for because we want to put him as a cover for this episode because he's a real deal.
Behind the scenes, lift that curtain.
How the sausage is made. That's right.
Cover star.
But I was looking through. I came across some pictures from World Juniors. And that's a couple of years ago now, and you look at like the physical difference as well, like the strength, the coordination, ganglion all over the place a couple of years ago when he burst onto the scene, and now you can see it's all a bit more refined, it's all moving a bit better, and yes, I think those physical differences alongside the performances and the times, 100% real deal. Wait for it.
Oh, that was so good.
Thank you.
You're going to wake the dog up, Hannah.
No, he's all right. He's passed out. He's fine. He can't handle the altitude.
The dog. I'm doing inverted commas.
My last point on Gout is how he sort of lacks an Australian accent. He sounds like a Brit, doesn't he? What is going on there?
I'm not sure I've picked up that. Okay, nice, even better.
I barely get a twang of Australian accent in him. Controversy in the 1500 metres. Claudia Hollingsworth won it despite seemingly tripping Jess Hole, who went on to win the 5,000 metres in the end. So Hole got up and finished, but obviously nowhere in contention. There's about 50, 60 metres to go. And Jess starts to move out wide. Hollingsworth starts to come on the inside, and there's a little bit of a tangle. So, I mean, hand over to the 1500 metre specialist. Hollingsworth was disqualified and reinstated on appeal. What would you have done?
I think it's a DQ because I think she's gone through a gap that's not there. I don't know unless there's a real sort of mission from Jess Hull that she changed her course, that she went back in. But the footage I've seen, that Hollingsworth is so far behind Hull when she trips. So it's not a thing of like she started moving through and then been squeezed and there's been a tangle. She's caught her from behind, and I think so. You can't run into the back of another competitor like that when there's no good reason. There's not anyone else pushing or shoving you around. You're not, there's nothing else going on. I think I don't blame Claudia Hollingsworth. Like, it's all instinct. It's you're really driven, and yes, I'm just not that I'm trying to trash her as an athlete or anything like that. But I think going through a gap on the inside that's not there, that's that. And I think, we think back to Cole Hocker at the World Champs. You just kind of say semi-final. You just kind of say you've got yourself in the wrong position. Tough cookies. Like it's you can't get yourself out of that situation at the detriment of other athletes. Like that's not okay. So I think Hollingsworth might have had she maybe was the best athlete on the day. She's been fantastic in the Australian season, but if you get that positioning wrong in the last 100, then that's that. And Hollingsworth said that herself. She said, maybe I should have tried to go round, but I thought I was, and lots of people say hug that inside in the final 100 because people do drift. And it's not a bad tactic, but I think I think the DQ should have stood. That's my opinion, and I'm sorry if that's a bit harsh.
She was very, very apologetic about it at the end. Like she was like admitting guilt, but then the appeal still goes in. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be her that puts the appeal.
I mean, you got to have a go. And I think the appeal said they spoke to the affected parties. So if they spoke to, I think it was Abby Caldwell, Sarah Billings, Jess Hull. If they all said those are the girls that ended up with silver and bronze instead of gold and silver. If they said, I don't want to be Australian champion, I don't feel that was worth a DQ. This is me saying from like watching clips on social media. Yeah. If they said in the appeal, they said they spoke to the affected parties and then the decision was taken to reverse the DQ. And I don't know what was said in those conversations. So I don't think it could be the right decision. I love the way I backtracked there. From what I saw, DQ, but I'm not privy to what they actually went and different footage and all that.
Yeah. And Jess Hull took it very well, didn't she? At least publicly.
Of course she did.
To be able to keep her composure like that when you must be so frustrated and angry.
Yeah. And then a shame because she was going for the triple, wasn't she? She was going to try and win the 8, the 15 and the 5K. I think it would have been her 4th consecutive 1500 title. And it's kind of stuff like that. So that is frustrating for Jess Hull. And yeah, it was great that she came back and won the 5K anyway. Hollingsworth came back and got second in the 800 in the end to Abby Caldwell. There was a lot that went on emotionally and physically for those two across the weekend.
Yeah, and Hull she didn't run the 800 in the end.
No, she didn't, no.
And the other big headline, I guess, from this weekend was Cam Myers being Cam Myers again. So the first
been the real deal. Another teenage Australian real deal.
How much we've talked about him quite a lot, but I mean, so it's quite hard to sort of find new things to say about him.
Yeah, so we got to with Keeley, wasn't it? By the time we got through indoors, we're like, not really anything else to say.
He did a first sub 330 of the season, just about, and then he won the 5,000 as well, 13:11:66 to win that. What I mean.
It's fantastic. I think I'm still sad we didn't get him at World Cross, and that was for sort of health reasons, and that we didn't get him at World Indoors. I think it is exciting, it is impressive, but it's like more of the same of what we had last year. Like fantastic times in medium pressure environments. And that's fantastic, and I'm super impressed. And like, it's like the anticipation's building.
Sounds like there's a but,
but I want you like. Go win commies. Like come and win commies. I think that's going to be. I love fast times and they do excite me, but it's like I love them in combination with championship performances and head to heads. So I need. I'm desperate to see more of that from Cam Myers. Brilliant, very very impressive.
Mm-hmm. In terms of field, Ramona is back. So we've got these.
I feel like it's some weird buzzword that gets us all going. Like, Ramona.
I just think I don't know why. It doesn't. I know we talk about in marathon terms Valencia being so fast, but I don't know. I can't get excited about Ramona. But anyway, let's do it anyway. Because Lawrence Okoye through 71:88, improving his national record. What have you written here? First PB in
First
5 years.
PB in 5. Yeah, I just spotted my typo. Sorry.
Which is great for him. And there have been some other long distance throws as well.
I think I know I'm with you, and I think I would say the same about Valencia. Like, we always expect a lot from there, so I think the standard that impresses us in venues like this, for whatever the discipline is, it is higher. So we wouldn't be impressed by people going here and I think they threw last week, and I don't know what, the wind wasn't as strong, whatever, but it was just kind of average. So I don't know. I wouldn't put much weight on. I don't know, but yeah, it's hard. Yeah, of course we're going to have a world lead from there. Of course we're going to have world leads. I think it matters that Valerie Sion rather than Valerie. I can't remember her old name now. Well done, me. Is that how we're saying it? Sion?
I was about to say Adam.
Adam. Yeah, I was going to say Valerie Adams because I'm from indoor shot put world. Yeah, Sion. We've got a while to get that right. But
no longer all men, now Sion.
Yeah,
Sion,
so it definitely says Sion or Sion. Do we know? Sion.
I don't know. But Sion and Denny to have they are the reputable people to have the world lead marks. So I put more credence on that than kind of a random coming out and throwing a world lead. And I just think Lawrence Okoye is great. I think he's just such a nice bloke. So for him to get a national record, I'm just happy with that. So
yeah.
But again, come and do it. So can you do it on a rainy night in Stoke? That's what we all need to know. Is that the right reference?
Where's the
that is basically is Thursday night in Stoke. I'm not sure many.
Damn it.
I'm not sure many are going to Stoke on a Thursday night to watch athletics anyway. But
I was going to say,
it's all on
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
Track. Yeah. Best track in Stoke. I don't know.
There's a decent track in Stoke, I think. They've got good. They've got Ashley Nielsen, Chaz Sawyers. Yeah, they've got good pedigree.
Robbie Williams.
You're right. Was he at the
Vale Park the other day?
Oh, don't get me started on Robbie Williams. We have not got time for that.
Oh,
I love him.
Like, okay, I didn't know where you
I
were going.
sure which way that was going.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe another time.
Another time. Put a pin in it.
Should we finish with the race walking team championships, which took place in Brasilia, which goes under the radar a bit? And we have actually had some correspondents asking for more coverage of walks, and this is a good time to do it. So this is the first time that the distances have changed. So we've gone to this more sort of understandable marathon, half marathon distance to try and, I guess, bring new fans in because I think the distances keep on changing. I can't remember what the exact history was of it, but it went up to like 50 and down and
down to 35 and back. No, I think the move to half and full is like totally sensible. Like it just brings a level of relevancy. Yeah, like I can't believe it's not happened sooner. I think it's totally relevant, and I think it is a bit of a shame we're going to go through this period now of a whole load of national records. It's kind of like every event is going to be littered with records. Kind of nullifies those sort of marks until we figure out what's going on. But other than that, I think it's a great move.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of just wrapping up some of the results, Francisco Fortunato won the men's half, Kimberly Garcia the women's half. Garcia has had a little bit of a trickier time at the major championships recently, but she does seem to consistently perform at the race walking team champs. Of course, she was competing as well in South America. And then men's marathon,
easier to do at home. I was going to say, just before you move on from that half, Miss Ghana Wakuma of Ethiopia getting a silver. You'd say in an endurance event like this, when we're the running events of this duration are dominated by East Africans, like it's mad that it's taken this long for an African medal in the race walk. But he's done it. Wakuma's done it finally. So I think I thought that was pretty cool in the men's half.
And no Brazilian winner in the end, despite Kai Bonfim, of course, is the world champion over 20k.
Yeah.
Men's marathon, we desperately wanted a Japanese gold medalist in Tokyo, didn't we? We didn't get one, but Hayato Katsuki picked up the gold in that one. Big win for him.
Yep.
And in the women's marathon, Paula Torres, who's also been the Ecuadorian, who is one of the young up and coming talents that I think we were all quite impressed with her. I think in Tokyo, weren't we?
Yeah, we got excited, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's the sort of person that could sort of help bring walks to a new audience, perhaps, like the younger race walkers coming through. I don't know how it would break through somewhere like in the UK, but I mean, the play like South America is a bit of a hotbed for race walking. So are nations like Italy and Spain, Australia.
Yeah. Well, unless we look towards the Olympics in 2032, like you're going to say that could be a really, I know that's a long way away, but that's a really cool kind of that in Australia. That's going to be a big thing for the race walks. And what I loved about this event was I think it was the first time they were trialing the chip technology in the shoes. So because it's all to the judgment of the judges whether there's any lifting, whether they bring their feet off the ground. And this is where some of the criticism comes in from people that aren't supporters of race walk, and they just sort of say, well, I can see them lifting, they're not, we look at a picture and they're all off the floor and all that element of it. So they're bringing in chip technology that's going to be on the shoes, that's going to what's the right word, sort of like make it consistent. So across events across the world where people are qualifying for the big events, and then at those big events, it's not about hiding from a judge. You can't sneak into a pack. You can't go somewhere in the world where the judging might be different to walk your fast time. I think that's a cool revelation, that the renovation. What's the right word? Renovate? No.
Revelation?
Revelation. I don't know.
Do you mean like a kind of
revolution?
Evolution.
It's an evolution.
It's an evolution. It's a great evolution of for race walking, and I think
development.
I think that's development. Yeah, I think that was cool. I haven't read how it went. Like they were going to analyze it because they've got to have GPS trackers, and it's all it's got to be ratified and sort of reproducible across the world. But this was one of the first big tests, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, good use of technology in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to? You've put this in our little plan notes. I skipped past it, but the eligibility rules. Should we just finish with that? So it's not. This is something that's been reported by Kyle Rayner, who's a Jamaican journalist who covers athletics, and it's never been no official announcement from World Athletics. I'm sure it's all in the rules somewhere, sort of hidden, but it's about the number of switches that you can make nationality wise, and it's come in after we've seen this sort of how many 4 Jamaicans have gone to Kia, and we're waiting for them to sort of go through that process so they can be eligible to put on a turkey vest. But this whole idea is basically that there's been like a rule change where you can limit it. So it says here, he's reporting that you can only make applications in one Olympic cycle to a max of 10 within that limit.
So each nation can only apply for 10 new competitors. Okay,
10, and you can only, and then within that, each federation can only make 1 male and 1 female from another federation. So you can't take, so you can have 10 in total, but you can't go to Jamaica and say I want 4. You can go 2.
I see. Okay,
you can take 1 male, 1 female, and that's it. So you won't have this sort of mass exodus anymore. And there's 2 ways of looking at this, I think, because you look at Jamaica. The federations obviously have some failings enough for the athletes to go to Kia, who are obviously offering a lot of money to help support them with their training. The other side, though, is that you have a lot of athletes who are like fleeing war-torn nations, or those where they're refugees. They've grown up somewhere else, and that means that sometimes you might be we see lots of athletes switch from the likes of Eritrea and Ethiopia. And that maybe might close some doors as well. I don't know whether you looked at it that way.
I wonder what. I think the ethos of only 10 per Olympic cycle and only a couple from each nation. I like that as an ethos and a sentiment. But I think you're right when you consider those refugee situations. And I wonder maybe if you go via sort of the athlete refugee team, maybe that doesn't count in this quota. Like say you do get on the athlete refugee. There aren't many people that run for the athlete refugee team at the moment, but say you've sort of totally separated yourself from one nation, and then you were neutral, like we used to have maybe the authorized neutral athletes. Like if you had a neutral athlete, maybe that sets you apart from the sort of strict rules here. That we don't. Maybe that might be a nice workaround for that situation.
Mm. Isn't it great for the sport, though, does it, Katie? Do you think,
No.
like when you have these big changes?
No, that's exactly what I was thinking, and it makes me a bit sad. I mean, I think the whole thing it's sort of, it's like detracting from the things that should really matter. It's like, it's sad that we're actually even like talking ending talking about it. It's sad to me that Jamaicans want to represent a different country, and I'm not trying to downplay what might be going on, and obviously, you know, there's a lot of politics with the different federations and everything, but it's, yeah, for me it's a big detractor. It's also, like 10 still seems like a lot, do you not think, as a kind of in one cycle like that? To me sounds big. I was thinking that number should be smaller in a way, because that still, to me, it feels like it's encouraging a lot of people to say there is an opportunity there to do this if you like.
No, it's fair. Yeah, it's like a speed limit, isn't it? Is it a limit or a target?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, and it's I think it's. Well, I don't. Maybe it's a bit naive to just say it's sad. Does it make me actually think? Well, what are we going to do about this? Like, what do federations need to be doing to change things as well? Because it also doesn't look great for them either, does it? You know. Obviously.
But also, I think there's a caveat that, like, World Athletics doesn't just blanket approve these requests. Like, you know what I mean. So it's not like
I just fancy it today. I fancy representing Poland, so I'm off. Bye, guys. So see you in 4 years. Like,
I mean, again, I don't know the ins and outs of the procedure, but it's not as simple as like, okay, cool, you ask, you get. Like, you know, I like the fact, again, I'm not sure how broadly it applies, but the whole sitting out for 2 years for your nation, like you can't compete for your nation for 2 years before going to another nation. I think that's really important, because for an athlete in their career to step away from those major championships shows a real desire to change, not a fickle desire.
That's so true. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, I think this is probably the most obvious point to make, but for you as an athlete, Hannah, the idea of giving up 2 years of your career, I mean, time must be the most precious thing you have as an athlete, right? And in your prime, that is a huge decision.
Yeah. I think it's the perfect amount, you know, because 1 year, you could find the right year. You could find the right year where this down year or whatever, but 2 years, like it's a lot of time. Like, unless even if you're coming towards the end of your career, then you got to try and like limp on for 2 years before you can compete again, like at a major level. Like it's you know, and I think it's interesting, you know, athletes can compete elsewhere on the circuit in that time. They just can't do the championships. So I think I like that 2 year pause.
Yeah. I don't know how relevant this is, but I always think it's quite interesting when we do comparisons to other sports, isn't it? And, you know, Rich and I particularly work in quite a lot of other random areas in the industry. But I covered figure skating for the first time at the start of this year. I did the European championships, and I was shocked. I thought, you know, athletics was a prime example of this being a little bit of a problem or something that the sport wanted to address. I had no idea in figure skating how much of a massive part of the sport it is that people flip between nations actually quite regularly. And it doesn't seem, again, this is from quite a basic level. I'm not, you know, completely steeped in the sport, but it doesn't seem like it's seen as a particularly negative thing. It's like, as long as the paperwork works and the boxes are kind of ticked, there is a bit of it in terms of, I think, similar to athletics, of, you know, people needing to flee from certain countries. There's a little bit, I think, that's kind of a little bit more hazy around, you know, Russian athletes needing to figure out how they can compete, and therefore have found kind of backroute channels of other nations. But I was also shocked that there was one ice dancer who'd represented the US, Lithuania, and was now representing another slightly sort of left field Eastern European country, and maybe it was Switzerland or something. And there's so much of it, and it just sort of feels like, if you want to compete and your federation is not giving you that opportunity, or there's too many people in front of you, then like off you pop. That's kind of cool.
That's strange. Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys had heard much of that. No.
I think lots of different sports have had issues with it in the past, haven't they? And I guess this rule means that 10 is still quite a lot in one Olympic cycle, but the fact you can only take essentially one male, one female from each federation does sort of it stops them taking the mick out of the ones that are, you know. Also the other thing is that it's a form of soft power as well, isn't it? So yes, there are failings with Jamaica. You could also make the other argument that, you know, it's, again, you're going to win more medals at the major champs, and so that looks great for your country, and they're putting more money behind it. So you can look at it from like a cynical point of view as well. It's the Olympics essentially, and the World Championships, but the Olympics more is a form of soft power for basically every major nation or every. So that's a whole nother talking point, I guess. But that is a major part of the reason why we're seeing these allegiance transfers, and it just means you can't have these wholesale changes. I think is probably a good step, but it's probably not the finished. This is the next. Yeah, maybe there's going to be more tweaks in the future, but I guess it's a good step.
But it is what we've said. Sort of, this change doesn't affect applications that have already gone in. So
no, it doesn't, no.
The status we think at the moment with this sort of influx of Jamaicans to Turkey, that's happened. All those applications are in. So this is going forward. This is sort of what happens in the future rather than what's active at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, should we leave it there? Let's leave it there.
Yeah.
That's a lot. We've got through quite a lot, haven't we?
We have.
Anyway, the star of the show is about to appear now. So really,
good. Forgot about it. Yeah, so we'll be back later this week with a preview of Boston and a little bit of London Marathon content as well ahead of the race in a week and a half. So we'll leave you with my 6-year-old daughter with her commentary on the closing stages of Josh Kerr's win at the World Indoor Championships.
Look at all of them go. They're speeding past nearly one more lap to go. I wonder who's going to win. Josh Kerr and Cole Hooker are in a good spot, and they're both catching up. But who's gonna win? The man at the front is right now in the lead, and now they're both catching up with each other. 2 more laps to go. Wow, who's gonna win? I never know. So, and Josh Kerr is defending. No, I meant Josh Kerr is running through the racetrack as fast as he is going. Look at him go. I think Josh Kerr's going. Oh, and look at what's his name? Shrub. He's catching up. 1 more lap to go. Jeez. Josh Kerr. Josh Kerr's in the lead, and Shrub is catching up. Oh, and there we go. Cole Hooker is coming in 3rd place, and Josh has won the race, and he's lovely that he's won. He's hitting his heart. That means he's really excited, and a big cheer for Josh Kerr.